All right, hello, welcome back to video number 6. We're going to talk about your CV. Again, what we're going to cover in this time is really about standing out, about making an impression through your CV, which is oftentimes going to be, someone's going to look at it for 10 seconds, and you need to either kind of catch their attention or you're not in that 10 seconds.
I love this topic. When I was in the States, we were coached to do one thing with your CV that definitely is not the case in Europe and in Croatia. Your CV, whatever you do, and there's no single best CV, but there are like bad ones. Your CV has to be on one single page.
And I think I've heard even more, for young people in Croatia, that's becoming more either an expectation or it's the wisest thing to do.
But don't forget there's a Europass. You know the Europass?
Yeah, whatever.
Okay. I love the Europass. So Europass is the format of CV that was probably devised by some bureaucrats in Brussels. And if you're asked to produce Europass, then, well, please do.
Yeah, if you have to, you have to. Yeah.
And I spoke with managers like yourself, and they say, well, I love Europass writing because then I can include everything about myself. And I said, well, how long is that?
Yeah.
I've seen Europasses that are 6 pages long. And now the real question is, when you're writing it, it's kind of fun.
Yeah, but they feel great when you're writing it. Like, oh, look at all the things I've done with my life.
But can you imagine reading 6 pages of somebody's life? Well, there's one message you're signaling. Remember, Michael Spence signaling. When you put a resume or CV that cannot be on one single page, you're actually signaling that everything is of importance to you.
Yeah.
And when everything is of importance, then nothing is of importance. Yeah. You don't know your priorities, and you cannot tell the priorities of the company or organization where you want to work.
Yeah, I'd say probably the more formal, if you're applying for government jobs, it's more likely that there will absolutely be expected some official kind of format, or you're applying for a job with the European Union, you do what they ask you to. But when you are trying to figure out how to apply for private employers or just get yourself out there, you want it to be very concise, very short, something that makes an impression on one page.
Well, the point is, people falsely believe that the CV is the story of their life.
Right.
So that's
right.
it. That's not what it is. It's market positioning.
Yeah.
So you can have different CVs for different industries because you
Yes.
want to position yourself as an expert in that field, or well, wannabe expert,
right,
or future expert,
right,
if you don't have experiences. And you do that in 2 ways. The first one, you have to devise, you have to think about what you did and make stories. The people have always communicated in the stories. If you go 100,000 years in our past, we communicated in stories. So in the stories that you will put in your CV and then later use in your interview, you will say, this was the problem. This is what I wanted to achieve. This is how I do it and why I do it. And you will show step by step. And you will show in your CV, and you will show to the person who is going to read it and hopefully later speak to you, that you're able to do the work.
Mm-hmm. I think that might sound overwhelming because I can see one of the first thoughts is, I've never had a real job. Thank you very much for that. But this applies even to volunteering. This applies to projects that you did as a part of your schooling. And these are short descriptions, but it's very important to think in terms of active language about real results that you were able to reach. I've looked at sample suggested resumes on, again, Croatian governmental bodies for looking for work, and they are as dry as bones. There's just the simple biographical information of, I filled this seat in this place for this amount of time, and I had this title. That is so unhelpful. I mean, it's almost better to not even have it. You want to talk about real results, real accomplishments that you made in your job, and they don't have to be enormous things. But if you worked in the zoo, how many bears did you feed? How often did the bears need to be fed? And were the bears healthier in the end than they were in the beginning? And it's important to be asking for other people's help understanding your results along the way. If you volunteer, ask whoever you report to in the volunteering to say, what kind of improvements did I make? What can I quantify? And the more numbers you can put on things, the better. Always talk about how big a project was, how many people were involved, how much money was spent, how much money was made. numbers, active language, telling stories in short little passages. These are the things that make an impression with a resume.
Well, the word we are looking for is achievements.
Right.
Basically, you want to show your achievements. Achievement can be something that you are very proud of. It doesn't have to be, as Nolan said, it doesn't have to be something big.
Right.
But what you succeeded, what obstacles did you overcome? How did you do it? And how are you better in comparing to somebody else? Like, how did you do something better? What better results did you achieve? More money made or some money saved? This is what you want to show. And now we have Croatian problem. This would be very easy in the United States because the manager would see the CVs without achievements, with just positions, and then he would or she would see the CV with achievements. And immediately he or she would know that you're a go-getter, that you're a problem fixer,
Right.
yes, and that you want to make a contribution. In Croatia, managers are not yet educated to understand what does it mean, achievement written CV. So, well, go to the step back, right? And do your analysis, talk to the manager, introduce yourself, and then show that you're able to achieve whatever is necessary, right?
But also, I think you are able to. I think it leaps off the page. Really, when you read a resume that says what you accomplished in a job, and doesn't just say that you filled the seat without getting fired for this amount of time, I think that does kind of, it just grabs your attention when you're reading it.
Well, you will understand it immediately when we show you in our
Some examples.
yeah, definitely when you show examples in a lecture or some sort of coaching.
Yeah. One page is a great format for your CV when you come out of college. Use active language, talk about numbers, and a lot of different things can go into your CV. Volunteering opportunities. You can put even sporting accomplishments, things like that. They can grab people's attention. You never know if you actually get a job because you put that you're a member of a mountaineering club and the person who's hiring is a mountaineering person. They would love
that's
to have
networking,
people.
right?
Yeah,
So
it does come back to networking. So
okay, that's networking.
3, 4, 5 lines at the bottom of some activities that you enjoy. Another couple of things is there's some things that are on in resumes in certain sectors that are just not even worth mentioning. If you're an engineer, do not put on your resume that you know how to use Microsoft Word. That is just like, saying you know how to breathe.
Hygienic factor,
right? You don't need to shove everything in there. The more specific you are, actually, the better. A lot of times, resumes are processed by computers. By computer searches, they're scanned and then they're or since they're uploaded on the internet anyway, it doesn't matter. Then they look for certain kind of terms. So the more specific language you use in technical fields that has to do with very narrow kinds of things, with something you did with your thesis project or different projects you've done, the more likely you are to pop up on certain kind of searches. Because a person who's looking for to hire someone is not just going to look for everybody with a bachelor's degree in engineering from the University of Zagreb. They're going to look for certain kinds of subfields or certain kinds of, they're actually going to look for programming languages or certain kinds of technologies that are important in their field. So the more words you can use that are very specific, the better you'll do.
And prepare the stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you will need them for interviews, which is video number 7.
Right. That's another big thing just to end with is do not put anything on your resume you don't know how to back up. So if you say I'm an assertive person or something like that on your resume, you need to have a story you're ready to tell when someone challenges you and says, well, you wrote on here that you're a very assertive person. What does that mean? Be prepared to be challenged, to be called, to give a reason for things you put on your resume.
Okay. See you.